Regardless of how many miles there are between us, I know that my mother is just a phone call away, and I know that I can reach out for her whenever I need that matriarchal guidance for myself. I'm really glad to be able to connect with you. I really wanted to really just talk about Indigenous motherhood, and obviously who better to talk to about Indigenous motherhood than my own mother and someone who's done so much guidance for me. From the time I was 8, I was already an auntie. You know, you don't even really have to be a biological mom to be a mom.
Certainly in Indigenous culture, the auntie role is really important. And I think it's getting more important lately because there is a remembrance going on about the role of auntie, which is
Yeah.
an important role. The role of auntie is someone who a child can turn to when and if their parent is not available anymore, or like they lost their parents, or they're just not around, or there's someone else for them to go to that they can ask questions to and get answers and be loved by aunties and uncles in the world. The word in Cree for auntie is nigawi, and nigawis is mother. So it's very closely related. And people, can turn to their aunts and their uncles, especially if boys should be able to turn to their uncles for all those questions that maybe you're not feeling okay talking to your own parents about.
I don't think you need to birth a child in order to be a mother. And I've understood traditionally that, as a mother, we are the first teachers, and you are my first teacher. And
that's a pretty important role from conception. The child is already learning in the womb. It's called outside the teepee teachings, which, like when you're in a teepee, you can hear people outside the teepee having conversations and stuff like that. It's the same when you're in the womb. You can hear what's going on outside the teepee. So the teachings are many. And love can show itself in all kinds of ways. And to be a life giver, I believe, is the ultimate. It's important. Without that, we wouldn't exist as a species.
I feel like resiliency and Indigenous motherhood are synonymous. I feel like our resiliency is our greatest tool.
And I know that you know that.
I feel it.
Because you know that, you've been able to be resilient yourself through some of the most difficult things any woman could ever go through. You're well equipped to handle life. And that's the most important thing we can do for our children, is to help equip them so that they can be okay, that they can make it and stand up and be leaders.
When I think of Indigenous motherhood in this modern day and age, my thoughts lead me to my friend Corenda. And so I wanted to meet with her today in this park and speak with her about Indigenous motherhood. Could you tell me a little bit about your mom?
Yeah, so the 26th will be 28 years. I was 10 when she passed away, and I don't really know much about her. So yeah, I was kind of raised by child welfare and stuff. So at the time I was in the group home in Edmonton. She missed a visit in December, right before Christmas. We were supposed to spend Christmas with her, and she didn't come, and we had to spend Christmas at the group home. And then January rolled around, and she still didn't, no word of her, they called us down to the office. And as a kid, when you get called to the office, it's like you're gonna go home, something fun or something scary, right? It was a social worker standing there, our social worker. Her name was Monica. And she got my two brothers and I to get in her car. And I thought we were going to an appointment. She was so silent the whole time. She said that your mom's dead. And I was like, what? I found out later in life that she passed away of OD. Yeah, accidental apparently, but I don't know.
Being a mother is one of the scariest things you can be.
Oh, yeah.
And so, how do you navigate your way through motherhood?
At first, it was just natural instinct I felt. I just kind of like started reaching out to like parenting groups and like community resources, prenatal classes, hanging out with other moms and talking to them about their kids, watching them. And but yeah, and then I think it was just more of like watching community members, to be honest, like your mom, Nadia. Like there's so many good moms out there that are just these big matriarchs that just...
And we're so blessed to have such a beautiful community like
Yes.
that, right? Full of such beautiful, strong, inspiring women.
Yes.
When you become a mom, there's something in you that just switches on and changes you from your deepest core outward.
The way you protect other kids too, even. Like you become so protective of every kid.
We're revisiting a lot of the themes that we've been speaking about today with resiliency and how resilient mothers are, and especially Indigenous mothers, you know, like dealing with all of the adversity, but still rising up to be who we are, you know. And so all of the resiliency and, you know, the community and the connections. And my mom put it just so perfectly, just like at the end of the day, it's just all about love.
That's so true.
My friend Fawn Wood has been so blessed to have been guided through musical teachings from her mother, and so I've invited Cynthia Jim to join me today for some tea and to discuss the teachings that she's learned from matriarchal music. When I think about Indigenous mothers, you're one of the first people to come to mind because you've raised such a beautiful family and such beautiful, beautiful girls, and I'd just like to talk to you more today about your journey to motherhood, and if you could tell me a little bit more of your story.
I feel that immense responsibility to not just be in a ceremony, but there's stuff that I know now. And I had to gain that confidence to, hey, I got something to teach.
When you become a mother, you know that that's what you're supposed to be doing. But even as a child, when you're sitting there in ceremony with your aunties and your kukums or whoever, you know that you're supposed to be helping and you're supposed to be listening, and it's that instinct that really guides us, I feel. Yeah. Our culture is so tied into our communities, and how do we preserve that? How do we move forward in this day and age?
I think we've been susceptible to so many negative colonial sort of, you know, just happenings upon our minds, bodies, spirits, and hearts, and just activate. If it's in your heart to teach your child dancing, you get up and you dance with them. Our people, we were so badly abused in so many ways, and it carved out our thinking, our feelings, and our perception of the world, and it even really informed our actions. Well, now that we're exposed to more people that are healing, the number one thing I found is what I found in my mother is her nurturance, her kindness, her understanding, her immense understanding, her humility, her ability to know when she did something that, oh, I really need to correct myself. You take that indoctrination, you take everything that you thought was yours that is unhealthy, and you give it back. My aunties and my mom and my grandma says, whenever you have something negative, you just say, Creator, grandmothers, I give this back to you, it's not mine. And I ask that you bring it all over the universe so it finds its balance. Because once it finds its balance, it'll go back to where it belongs. And whatever the Creator and the grandmothers put in your heart, you're meant to teach that. There's a reason why they put passion in you. When we were all thrown into residential school, we ran a matriarchal system. And in that matriarchal system encompassed teachings that were so beautifully accessed through our relationship to everything, the flyers, swimmers, walkers, rooted ones, water, earth, fire, and air. We're relatives to everything. And those principles of life are integral into what a matriarch stands for. The teachings rise with the songs. The more songs that are coming from our women in our communities, the more teachings are coming forward as well, because they carry this this important frequency, this important aura with them, that's our permission. Not an external thing, but something inside us. And that's the importance that song carries with it. That frequency speaks to our bodies, our minds, our hearts, our spirits, and helps us to carry on.
Through loss, through joy, through struggle and ceremony, our mothers and aunties, our grandmothers and sisters have held us and each other with grace and fire. This journey is not just mine, it's ours. And as we move forward, we carry their voices, their teachings, and their strength, because love is resistance, and we are still here. For all that came before, for our children, for our future,